Hi, Zali Steggall, Independent MP for Warringah here. I really enjoyed the chat I had from Parliament House with the Minerva Network and so many aspiring and phenomenally accomplished young women a few days ago, and I know a few more questions came in from some of you. So as promised, here are some answers. Carol Cook had a question of, is there any one woman I have looked up to? It's really interesting, that one, because people always ask about who your mentors are and who have you really admired. And I think we all have people we admire at different stages in life. So when I was younger, I went to my first Winter Olympics when I was 17. And at the time we had a skier from New Zealand called Annalisa Koberger, and she was 3 years older than me and a really good friend, but she was also my mentor because she won the first ever medal for the Southern Hemisphere in alpine skiing. Actually ever for any country of the Southern Hemisphere at the Winter Olympics. So to me, she was that real moment in history that said it was possible, that this was something that could be achieved. So she was a great mentor. But then, look, I've had, my mum has been a great role model in terms of she's very outspoken and very much has followed her path and what she's wanted to do. And then there's a great women in history that it's really important to see them, what they accomplish. I think someone like New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, I think Michelle Obama has done great things. So there's, I think the key is whatever you're doing in life is finding people that are achieving around that time, but also some of the women in the Minerva Network are phenomenal leaders in the corporate world. So I think everyone involved in the network is really lucky. Well, there's a hello from Greta Small, which is lovely. I've seen her compete quite a few times. I was actually at the Pyeongchang Olympics watching her compete. I was there for the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and she was there competing, so that was exciting, and my fingers crossed for her for future competitions. Georgie Rowe, she's asking what skin products do I use. At the moment I use Aesop. So as I'm trying to be more environmental, sustainable, so looking at companies that have really good policies when it comes to the packaging around their products and sustainably and no testing on animals. So that's good, but it's tough. Women are always judged on their appearance, and so it's always been a tough juggle of wanting you want to look the best you can for yourself. So I'm always very picky. Jen Delves, she's also a Northern Beaches girl. That's great. Defeating Tony Abbott in the campaign and some of the biggest hurdles. Look, there were definitely moments that were daunting. You don't take on a challenge like that lightly. But like I said the other day, you have to back yourself. You have to believe in your own credentials and your own ability. And you can't be afraid of failure. So for me, a big motivation was it was absolutely worth the risk and it was worth doing it. So no guarantees. You can't control the outcome, but you can just focus on doing the best job you can along the way. And then, like in sport, the clock might decide or if you score that goal, but you can really only focus on your own performance. You can't control what other people do. So I kept very much with that focus throughout the campaign, worrying about what I could do, not what he was doing. The debate at Queensy, that was insane. It was surreal atmosphere. I got ushered in through the back door, and we were waiting in this little in the empty room downstairs. I could hear the crowd, and I could hear the demonstrators outside, and I saw when he came in and he had his entourage. And I had a few people in my team, and my husband and my dad were there with me, and they came and it was a very surreal atmosphere waiting for the debate to start. It absolutely reminded me of being in the athletes' kind of lounge, weight room in between runs at the Winter Olympic Games, where only the athletes and the coaches are allowed, and you're sort of, there's a lot of nervous, anxious anticipation because of the performance that's coming, and you've got your routine. And so I approached it with the same mindset of just being focused on what I wanted to say, and what I knew the facts were for the kind of questions I thought that would come, and just, again, focus on your own game plan and don't let yourself be rattled by the others. But that was definitely surreal. I felt like I came out of a boxing match at the end of that one. Gracie Elvin, how do you navigate tradition and the old boys club in both sport and politics? Yeah, look, it's there. You're not going to change it. Well, gradually, I think we are all hopefully going to change it. But I think you have to be realistic of the environment in which you're working or operating with. I think it's good to, once you're aware of it, is work out how you can take advantage of it in maybe a practical way, but also don't, I think if it needs to be called out, then you call it out if it's not fair. I'm a big proponent for merit being recognised if you're doing the hard work, but also don't ever let yourself be intimidated, because I think that's the biggest aspect of an old boys network or tradition, is that it's trying to close the door to newcomers coming in, and that's where don't let them intimidate you. Own it, know your strengths and weaknesses, know what you're about, and give it your best shot. Kalia Stanton, you're thinking about studying law. A lot of people do transition to law from sport, I think. You've said we've had advances with equal pay and increases in pay for women's sports versus men's sport. Do you see COVID-19 impacting this now and in the future, given athletes are having to take pay cuts in recent times due to no competition going ahead? No, absolutely. At the moment, I'm really concerned that women's sports are being considered as the discretionary spend that codes can cut because of the loss of revenue, and that's absolutely unacceptable. So we do need to keep raising the issue and fighting for it. I'm always really interested to hear when women or people say, feminisms are not something the way they want to describe themselves. Absolutely. We all have the opportunities we have because women and men have fought for equal rights, have fought for there to be fairness in our system and no discrimination on gender. And so we have to continue. We're not there yet. We don't have equal pay in many sports, but in the professional life either. Many professions don't yet have it. We have about a 14% pay gap and about a 40% difference in superannuation between men and women at retirement age. So it's a big problem, and the only way you're going to fix it is you call out the problem and fight for solutions and ways of changing the system. So Kalia, study law if you feel like it, but I think what's really important is study something you're interested in and enjoy. We all know from our sport that you're a hell of a lot more motivated if you enjoy what you're doing. So it's got to be interesting. But law is a foundation and a basis for many, many things. It doesn't mean becoming a lawyer. It can be the basis of a business degree or all sorts of things. So I guess in my family, it's a lot of generations of lawyers. So it was probably not surprising that I decided to study law after. So first I did a media and communications degree, and then I'd studied law. So look, I think law is a really good foundation for anything in life. But so thank you for all the questions, and if there's anything else, really happy to help. I really look forward to having another chat with the Minerva Network. Thank you.